Ever since I was in college, I have been a quote collector. And one of my very favorite quotes comes from Margaret Mead. And she said, "Never doubt that a small group of committed, thoughtful citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." I have always loved that quote because I feel like it speaks so much to those of us in ministry. You, as a pastor and a ministry leader, you have this small group of people that you can change the world with. What it tells me, though, is that I don't have to have a huge team. I don't have to have this massive team to make a difference. But it also tells me that I can't do it alone, that I cannot do it by myself, that I have to have a team. And if we look through history, if you take time and look at all these heroes of history, not one of them did it on their own. They always had a team behind them. Now, they may be the ones that are famous. Their name is the one that goes down in history. But there's always a team behind them that makes things happen and that makes the difference from success to failure. And I know for you as a pastor, you want to see great things happen in your church. You want to see lives change. You want to make a difference. And God's commissioned you to do just that. But I want to relieve you of this idea that you have to have this huge team, this massive team to make that work. In fact, sometimes we use the excuse and we say, well, I don't have the team for that. Maybe so on some things, but you have the team to make a difference. Unless, of course, you're doing it by yourself. And if you're doing it by yourself, then I think it's time that you start building a team and you start fostering an atmosphere of collaboration, whether it's with your pastoral staff or whether with a volunteer team. But it's time to start having an environment where people are collaborating under you so that you can work alongside a collaborative team to make a difference and to change lives the way you've been called to. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how you can create a collaborative atmosphere for your team, whether it's your volunteer team or your pastoral staff, a collaborative atmosphere where you can start seeing great things happen in ways you've never seen before. So let's get started. So the big question is this: how do pastors like us who remain focused on the mission of Jesus and serving our communities without being distracted by everything in the world around us, how do we increase our effectiveness while living a lifestyle that doesn't compromise our health, our families, or our personal relationships with Jesus? That's the question this podcast is going to answer. I'm Dr. Brandon Party Cooper, and welcome to the Ministry Hackers Podcast. Welcome to the Ministry Hackers Podcast. I hope you're doing wonderful today. It is St. Patrick's Day week, and so I'm wearing my sweatshirt that I got in Ireland when I went on a missions trip there back when I was in college or after college, somewhere right around there. But it's St. Patrick's Day week. It's one of my favorite holidays. I don't really know why, partially because I'm Irish. Those of you who are watching on the video may not believe that, but I am. I'm a quarter Irish, I'm a quarter Dutch, and then I'm half American Indian. And so this is one of my holidays that I identify a lot with. I enjoy. I get t-shirts for my boys every year. Actually, for my whole family, my wife and I, we get new t-shirts. The boys get t-shirts. We celebrate St. Patty's Day and have lots of fun with it. And so I'm excited. So I thought I'd wear my sweatshirt to celebrate the holiday. And I hope you're doing well, whether you're a big St. Patrick's Day fan or not. I hope you're doing well. I hope this podcast is reaching you at a point where you are enjoying your day, where things are going well for you. And if not, then I pray that this podcast, this episode is an encouragement to you. Because as a pastor ministry leader, we have very high days and very low days. And there are days where we just need a good pickup, and I hope that that is the case for you today. Before we jump into the topic, I want to remind you that summer is right around the corner. And we're coming into spring and we're coming into summer, and we have lots of events probably planned. I know for me, when I was in ministry, I was a youth pastor for a while, young adults pastor, and we were very event heavy. We had lots of events and we did all kinds of things. And quite honestly, there was this point where the events were overrunning the ministry. I felt like every day I went into the office, I was planning events. That's all I was ever doing. And I decided that I wanted to do more than just plan events, that I wanted to actually have time where I was spending with people, sitting down, having coffee, hanging out, doing ministry, preparing better sermons, preparing discipleship programs. I wanted to do more than just throw an event week after week after week. And so what I did is I tried to create a process that helped me plan events quickly, that didn't miss the details, that thought through everything that I needed to. And all I had to do when the event came is just execute it because it was all planned and ready to go. And what I want to do is I want to give you a free gift. I want to give you that process that I've used to plan events quickly, efficiently, on budget, and in a way that I'm not always stressed out about. And so if you want to, go to brandonpartycooper.com/ministry event, or church event, brandonpartycooper.com/church event. And you can download the church planning event kit right there. There's two things you're going to get in it. You're going to get a long list of 25 ideas that you can use to make a difference in your community, events that you can do, things that you can throw for your community to engage them. Because what you really want is you want your community to know who you are and be familiar with you before they ever come looking for a church. So that when that day comes, they say, hey, I want to go to church. And yours is the first one they think of, not because they've heard your name, not because they know you're the church down the street, but because they're familiar with you because of the great events, engaging events that you're throwing. So that's the first thing. The second thing it's going to give you that step-by-step plan that I've used for years to think through and process what an event should look like. It's engaging, it's on budget, the details are all thought through. And once you go through this step-by-step process, you will want to plan out all your events for the rest of the spring and the summer, because once they're planned and ready to go, all you have to do is execute. It makes it so much simpler. It gives you so much time you're in your day-to-day and in your week-to-week where you can really spend time doing ministry and doing other things other than just throwing events. Events are important and they're necessary, but they shouldn't be the only thing we're doing. And so this kit is designed to help you in that process. So again, go to brandonpartycooper.com/church event, get your kit, start planning your events, and enjoy the summer like you never have before. Okay, so we are diving into today's topic. We're going to talk about how to create a collaborative atmosphere for your pastoral staff, for your volunteer team, for whoever is directly under you and is serving you and working with you to do ministry to your neighborhood, to your community, and to the people in your congregation. Okay, so the first thing that I want us to talk about is collaboration. Number one, first and foremost, is built on relationships of trust. Collaboration is you and your team or your team working together on a project. I know for me, when I was in elementary school, I had to collaborate with one of the other kids in class, this girl in class. And I loved group projects. I loved working with other people. I was not the type that really wanted lots of credit. I just wanted to do a good job. And so I loved working with teams. However, there was one girl in class that her and I did not get along. We just did not. And my teacher, being the wonderful teacher that she was, she paired us together to work on this project. And it was one of the hardest things I think I did that whole school year, because I love group projects. And now I had to do this group project with this other person that I didn't really like. Her and I, we picked at each other all the time. We had been in grade school for several years together, and we just never got along. We always picked at each other. And unfortunately, even though we did an okay job in the project, we did not get a great grade because we could not work together. Because in the end, because we really didn't like each other, we didn't trust one another. And so there was this constant battle of who was doing what and who was getting credit for it and who was taking the hard parts and the easy parts and who was deciding how things were going. And there was this constant battle because there wasn't this bond of trust between us. And when you look at your team, you look at your pastoral staff, you have to ask the question, do my staff members, do they trust me and do they trust each other? There's a difference between being on your staff and serving alongside you and doing ministry with you and trusting you. All of us have been on a staff where we serve someone that maybe we don't fully trust. We like them maybe, or we enjoy working at that church, or maybe we just need a ministry position and that's where God has placed us. But at the end of the day, we just don't trust our lead pastor or some of our team members. And it makes it very hard to collaborate with one another. And so what I want you to do is I want you to think about and ask the question, does my team, number one, trust me? And then number two, does my team trust each other? Now, both of these are things that you have to wrestle with as the pastor, as the ministry leader, because these come down to you. Are you creating an atmosphere where trust is apparent and trust is being built all the time, and then where collaboration can happen in an effective way. Because what happens is when you have a pastoral staff that does not trust each other, and maybe that don't trust you necessarily, then you have this growing siloed environment where nobody wants to work outside of their silo. They have their silo they control, they have the resources they control, they have the projects and the events and the things in their silo that they control. And if they come outside of that, they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if the other members of the team have their best interest in mind. They don't know if you have their best interest in mind. They don't know. So you have these siloed environments where everybody sticks to their own silo and does not work together well with each other. Even when you come together with a staff, in staff meeting, or maybe you come together in planning meetings, whatever, there's this like underlying tension all the time because trust is low and collaboration is almost non-existent. And so you have to ask yourself the question, do I have an environment where trust is predominant and where collaboration can happen? Because that's where you want to get. You want to get to where your team trusts one another and trusts you, and where they're collaborating together, they're growing together, they're coming together on projects, and they're making great things happen. Because my guess is you have a great team of individuals. They have talents, they have ideas, they're creative, they have all of these gifts. And they'll do great by themselves. But if you get them to work together, you get them to collaborate, even greater things are going to happen. Even more exciting things are going to be put together. Their imaginations together will come up with a lot more creative ideas. Your ideas that you bring to a team and allow them to collaborate with you, they will come up with way more exciting things than you can, especially if you're like me. I'm in my 40s. I've been in ministry for 20 plus years. I know that if I take my ideas and my thoughts and I take them to a team of younger pastors and younger ministry leaders who, maybe they don't have the experience that I have, which means they don't have a lot of the hindrances and the obstacles and the hurts and pains and things that I bring to the table. They're a lot more unencumbered and they just kind of run with ideas. If I take my ideas and put them in their hands and say, hey guys, what do you think about this? And what can we do with this idea? They will run with it and they will make it way better than I ever would have on my own. And so that's what you're wanting. You're wanting to get to a point where you have a team that collaborates and comes together and makes things happen with one another, because the end result for your congregation and for your community is way more than what any of them can do on their own. And right now I want to just touch on something. If you have a growing team of millennials, so you have more and more people who are on your team that are under 40, then you need to really evaluate this, because your millennial pastoral staff members and your millennial team members, they are born for collaboration. They are built for it. From the time they were very young in their learning environments in school and everything else, they have been accustomed to collaboration. They've been accustomed to teams. They've grown up being involved in every possible activity they could, whether it's sports or dance or ballet or even working on robotics together. Like, they understand teams, they understand how to work on teams, and they actually crave it. A lot of times you'll run into millennials who have a hard time working by themselves. And it's not because they're not self-starters, it's because they want to be on the team. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't know how to work up on their own, and that's something you have to teach them. But I am saying that you need to take advantage of their desire to be on a team and to work with a team. If that's their natural, if they're millennials and they're naturally bent toward teamwork and collaboration, then capitalize on that. Create an environment where it doesn't just make that possible, where it fosters it and allows it to grow, because they love collaboration with teams. Okay, so let me just touch base on the things that you can do, the steps you can do, or the things you can implement to make teams a lot easier for you, and you can create this collaborative environment for you and your team to work within. The first thing is take time to have weekly staff training. Now, this isn't your staff meeting. Now, it could incorporate into your staff meeting, but this is time, whether it's 10 minutes or 20 minutes, some time slot in your week where you are training your staff members. A lot of them have come on staff because they admire you, they trust you. Maybe they are drawn to your accomplishments in ministry. Maybe they just are drawn to your own spiritual maturity, and they see a pastor inside of you that they want to become. Whatever. Take time to pour out what you have into their lives. Don't just have staff meetings where you're telling them what needs to be done and what you need them to do and barking out orders and giving assignments. Don't just do that. Build in time where you're investing into them, not just into where they are right now, but into their entire future as ministry leaders. I know for me, the pastors that I have worked under that have taken time to invest in me, who have taken time, even in a large staff training time, have sat down and taught us what they knew, has been invaluable. And so just take time. Again, it doesn't have to be long, even just a 10-minute teaching, but teach them what you know. Teach them how they can be better pastors, how they can be better ministry leaders, how they can do their skills better. Teach them the mindset, the philosophy, the heart of being in ministry, because many of these pastors and ministry leaders, they're coming from all kinds of different avenues. Some of them are coming from great Bible colleges that are training them how to have the mindset of a pastor. Some of them are coming from leadership schools or discipleship training schools or whatever, but some of them are not. Some of them are being plucked right out of their church and thrown into ministry. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but they don't fully have what they need always to go the long haul in heart and mind and emotions. And so take that and teach them. Take the time to invest in them. And when you do that, you increase that trust. You increase that mentality that you value them beyond what you can get out of them. And that is going to help with this idea of collaborating, because they see you investing in them, so they're willing to come alongside you and work with you and have do things as a team to make your ministry and to make the church and to make ministries within the church happen a lot more effectively. So that's the first one, weekly staff training. The second one is have monthly one-on-one meetings. The number one thing that you should be doing as a pastor is managing and caring for your pastoral staff. And that means that every month you should be sitting down with them for a one-on-one meeting. Now, it doesn't have to be long. 30 minutes is all you really need. But every month, sit down and have a one-on-one meeting. Pastor them, because you can't pastor them on a Sunday morning. They're busy. They're doing things. They're doing ministry. They're reaching people and they're touching base. In fact, sometimes they're not even in the room when you're preaching. So you can't assume that you are pastoring your staff on a Sunday. When you sit down one-on-one with them and you take time to ask them, how are they doing? What are their wins for the last month? What are their struggles? Ask them how they're doing personally. How's their family? What questions do they have? What concerns do they have? What difficulties are they having? When you are asking those questions and you're sitting back and you're listening, it speaks volumes to them, because what it tells them is that you value them and you value where they are and you value their opinion and you value their insight and you value what they bring to the table. You take time to talk to them and listen to them. That speaks volumes to them. And again, that just fosters this environment of trust and collaboration, because you're valuing them as individuals and what they bring to the table. Even ask tough questions like, ask them, what can I as your pastor do for you that I'm not doing? Or how can I be a better pastor to you? That's a tough question to ask, and you don't know what's going to be on the other side of that. But even asking the question, just asking the question, it speaks volumes to how you value your team members. And so have a monthly one-on-one meeting with them, because you will see it make a huge difference. Don't let it all be business. Don't let it all be tasks and performance and analysis. Don't let it be that. Let it be a time where you talk to them and you listen to what they have to say to you. So that's the second thing. The third thing is an annual staff retreat. You need to put in an annual staff retreat every year. Maybe it's the same time of the year. Maybe it's different times throughout the year. Each year is a different time. But create a 2 or 3 day retreat for you and your staff. And again, this can be a time of spiritual growth. It can be time of connecting with one another. But don't let it become a time where you're talking about vision and mission and goals and what you're wanting to accomplish next year and performance. Don't let it be that. Let it be a staff retreat where you and your spouse take your pastoral staff and their spouses and you get away, whether it's getting a cabin, whether it's going get an Airbnb somewhere or whatever it is, but get away and spend time together. For me, that's one team that I was on. This was probably one of the best things that the pastor at this church ever did, is he created this annual staff retreat that we went on. It was usually in February or March. Every year we would go. And we had this cabin, the church district, they had these cabins that we could rent. And so it was just this huge house where we all could stay in different rooms, our spouses and us. Each had our own room, but then there was this huge common area. And really the whole time we spent talking and hanging out and spending time together and playing games and watching movies and just talking ministry on a very deep personal level instead of this everyday detailed level. It was those times that really brought us together as a team because we were able to just hang out and get to know each other and spend time with each other. Because in the office, you only get to know each other on a certain level because you're always talking business. But when you get away and you have nothing else on your plate, you don't have to go anywhere or do anything. Really, the whole time is spent relaxing. Then as a team, as individuals, everybody opens up and gets closer, and it just creates a lot stronger relationship and a lot better trust with one another. And so put in an annual staff retreat where everybody goes and everybody has fun and everybody walks away refreshed and walks away filled with joy and excitement and looking forward to the next year or whatever it is. But build an annual staff retreat and it will build trust and strengthen relationships and create an environment where everybody not only likes working together, but actually likes one another and fosters that collaborative environment where everybody wants to do things together. They want to be alongside each other. They want to take a project together. They don't want to do it by themselves because they want somebody else alongside them because they enjoy working together. And so that's the third thing. And then the last thing you can do to create a collaborative environment by building trust is provide growth material for all of your team members. Now, this can be books. This is what most of us go to, is buying a book or a bunch of books throughout the course of the year. And that's fine. Books are great. But as you know, many of your team members are overwhelmed and they're exhausted and they're, they don't have a ton of time. And, hopefully they have their own list of books they're reading. But if you're adding more books throughout the year, that can just become cumbersome. So what I would encourage you is, sure, buy a book or two throughout the year, but also think beyond that. Think, what about conferences or online courses that they could take? What about, other curriculum that you could purchase for them? Things that they can do that is investing in them where they are. So instead of buying one book for the entire team, buy a book for this staff member who needs to grow in this specific area, or this staff member who wants to, maybe your youth pastor wants to someday be a lead pastor and this. And so you take and you purchase a book or you purchase a course or you purchase something, even coaching or consulting, you purchase that for that team member to help them grow, investing in their future, whether it's with you or not, investing into their future because you value them. Buy them growth material that's going to help them grow as pastors and ministry leaders. Because you and I both know that being in ministry, it's a long marathon. It's not something we can just do quickly. It's not something that we could just figure out and go. I've been in ministry 20 plus years, and I can tell you I've gone through several phases of ministry. And there were lots of points where I could have given up. And there's lots of points where I could have walked away from ministry and nobody would think less of me because of the circumstances and situations. But I also know, growing up and going to Bible college and spending time with great pastors and mentors, that's how it was going to be. And instead of giving up, if I just stayed in there and kept plugging away and pushing through and trusting God and relying on Him and knowing that He would take care of me through it all, knowing that helped me get to where I am today. It helped me push through. It helped me to stay in ministry. And that's what your team members need. They need to know those things. And when you invest in them, when you buy them growth material that's helping them grow in their leadership, their pastorship, even their theology or their biblical studies, their sermon preparation, whether it's helping them with their relational IQ, whether it's helping them just know themselves, doing something like a Strengths Finder book where they learn their own personal strengths and they can build off of those. Anything like that that's going to help them to grow and become better individuals, better pastors, better leaders. That's going to speak volumes. And that's going to, again, investing in them is going to tell them that you value them. That's going to make them trust you. It's going to build their loyalty to you. And it's going to help them to want to collaborate and come together and get out of their silos and do great things as a group with you alongside. Not because they have to, not because it's their job, not because you're their boss, but because they trust you. And that's what you want. You want those closest to you that are directly reporting to you. You want them to trust you more than anybody else on the team. And you want them to trust those they work alongside, the rest of the team. And when that happens, they will be happy to collaborate. And when they collaborate, when they come together and they bring all of their talents and all of their gifts and all of their energy and they bring all that to the table and they lay it down and work together, great things are going to happen. I promise you that. And so again, the 4 things you need to do: add in a weekly staff training, add in a monthly one-on-one meeting, add in an annual staff retreat, and add in giving them growth material to help them personally. You do those things, you will see the trust level on your team go up and the want and desire and even need to collaborate with one another go up. And when those things go up, you're going to see great things in ministry, great things happening in your community, great things happening in your congregation, because your team is getting closer and closer to becoming that highly effective team that you're wanting, that you need, so that you can live your dream life in ministry. And that's the goal. All right. I hope you're doing great the rest of this week. I hope this is really helpful for you. For if you started this podcast and you were frustrated and down, I hope this is encouraging, because again, you don't have to have a great big team. A small group of people committed and thoughtful and willing to go the extra mile with one another, trusting each other. That's all you need to do great things. And so I hope this is an encouraging episode for you. Again, if you're wanting to get that ministry or that church event planning kit, go to brandonpartycooper.com/church event. Get your kit, get started, start planning your events for this spring, the rest of the summer. Get ahead of the game and start using that team you have to collaborate and make these events great and make them fast and make them very engaging to reach more people for the cause of Christ. All right. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you in the next episode.